Okay, welcome to Quimby's bookstore and the first interview in the Music in the Tunnel interview series. Quimby is hosting the photo exhibit for Subway Beats. There's 65 photos up on these walls, so feel free to come to the store and check out the photos. And the exhibit is based on the book Subway Beats, and that also is available in the store. What I have for you today is the legendary Lawrence Rush. He's been a busker over 20 years here in the Big Apple, New York, and we're going to have an opportunity to have a conversation with him about his life as a busker. So I'll get the ball rolling by asking Lawrence, where did you grow up? What city?
I grew up in a small town in Nanticoke, Pennsylvania. It's up towards the Poconos, the Wilkes-Barre-Scranton area.
Okay, all right. And did you have an early interest in music, or it came to you later on?
Oh, no, I had a very early interest in music, yes, since a young kid.
What instruments did you play?
I didn't play really any instruments, but I was sort of singing from the womb.
Okay, all right. That's fair enough. And when did you move to New York?
I moved to New York when I was 18 years old. Around 17, 18, I was in my college dormitory in Wilkes-Barre, Pennsylvania, in Wilkes College, and God spoke to me to come to New York to break into show business.
Nice.
That was 20 years ago. And
Right.
he hasn't spoken to me since.
No.
No.
All right.
20 years ago, 17, 18, I did pack up my bags. I actually dropped out of college in my first year and a half, and I got on the Trailways bus with a song in my heart and a prayer on my breath, and I came to the Big Apple.
Okay, all right. Did you get a gig in Apple first, just to get a feel of what the city was like? Did you serve pizzas or any funny kind of upstart gig when you first got here?
I did work quite a few jobs, like anything, waiter, busboy, room service. My first job was a room service guy waiter, and that was it.
Yeah, okay.
Like that.
Interesting. And when did you kind of want to start maybe performing in New York and showing your musical talents? It doesn't have to be Subway at first, but when did you decide you want to show your talents?
I was barely off the Trailways bus, and I was already going to open mics where they would have lit singers sing, and so.
As soon as you got to the city?
Yes, and but it was a little, you hear all these stories about people coming to New York and to break into show business. But what I didn't realize is that I thought I had the gift New York was waiting for, but that there's so many other talented and wonderful performers. Even that night I went to an open mic night to sing. Oh my gosh, I was shaking in my boots. My leg was shaking.
Yeah. Makes sense.
My first open mic. But I persevered, actually, till I could sing a song without my legs shaking.
Okay. That's good. Yeah, breaking in, as you would call it. Okay, so you got in, you're in the city, and you're working, and you want to be a performer, and maybe make it to Broadway. Did you start riding the trains a lot, or how'd you get around the city?
Oh, well, I public transportation, and I did eventually get a bicycle.
Yeah,
I know you're a bicycle.
Like I'm a bicycle guy.
What's your title? No, you have a title, the fastest messenger in New York City.
Yeah. Okay, yeah.
So I got around town on a little bicycle.
Okay, all right. And so when you went into the Subway, did you see any other musicians kind of playing there, or back when you first started? When it's 20 years ago.
When I first started, I actually distinctly remember not in the subway, but on Broadway, literally on the street. There was a group that I really liked. They would have a little amplification with their guitars, but they would sing over the guitars without mics, and I just loved them. Actually, I offered to carry their equipment, and they befriended me, took me to their hotel room where they stayed. The whole group of them stayed in a hotel room, and I would go watch them busk every time I had an opportunity. And so I must say that was the first time I saw like street performing live. And they were just, I used to sneak in at intermission or just go standing room to see the Broadway shows, but this was live street performing, and I can't think of the name of the group, but it's ironic that 20 years later, when I was just watching them and helping them out in their little group, maybe 20 years later, one of the guys from that group saw me performing with my band 20 years later.
That's a great story. That's amazing. That's very much amazing. In Times Square.
Yeah.
That's really, really, really amazing. So, okay, so you saw them perform, you saw them bust. Did you ask them, like, how did it go? How did it feel? Because me seeing the busker as maybe from the audience, I'm seeing it and I'm saying, okay, that's got to be tough just to go out there and perform. And it's not begging, but you have people putting in dollars, quarters, or nickels. It's not like, oh, okay, you're not thinking you're going to make a lot of money. So there must be something else that's making you proud to do that. And so when you saw that group, did they explain like why they were busking, or you didn't ask them any question about why they were busking and what it was like to do that?
They were just musicians playing some fun rock and roll, and they loved doing it, and the audience loved doing it, and that's what it was. Enjoyed that.
Enjoyed it. Okay.
And
that's how it was. Okay. All right. So you saw them, and then I guess you rode your trains a little bit. And when did you decide to maybe take a swat at playing on the platform in the train?
I did start off playing in the subway. I remember the first time I went down there. I went actually late at night, say after 10, 11 o'clock, when this train slowed down, because at this time I wasn't part of the Music Under New York program. I was just a freelancer, as they would call it. And I would go late at night. I called it graveyard shift.
Yeah.
And when it was a little quiet, I would just take me and my guitar, and I would do some subway singing. And then there was a flute player. I don't know if you know Mitsu, he plays in the subway, he plays a flute, and he joined me there. And they actually captured us in a little article in the Times there, Midnight Music, they called it, or something like that.
Nice.
And then I would, some other musicians would join me, and so I started getting into a little doo-wop and rock and roll, and then started expanding my repertoire there.
Okay, so there are many stations, right?
Yeah.
There's Brooklyn, Bronx, Manhattan. Did you experiment in maybe 20 different stations before you kind of got a feel of like what it was like? Or do you remember actually the first station, going back to when you first started? Do you remember the station? Or
Well, I just want to pay tribute to, I'm thinking, there was a gentleman, and you have a picture of his sister, who is one of the best subway idols in New York City, Alice Tan Ridley.
Yes.
Great singer. But I remember her brother, Roger Ridley, and he would play on the 1 and 9 train in Times Square. And his voice was just so powerful that even when the trains ran,
right,
you could still hear him singing. He was just a great singer. And so he was definitely, he wowed me, and I loved him. And I started, so that's one of the actually one of the great inspirations that the greatest subway singers I've ever seen playing in the subway and singing in the subway. And I gave it a try. I wasn't so powerful, so I had to go late at night when the trains were slow.
Okay, all right,
But later on, I did develop a little power, and you can check me out in some of my videos on Lawrence Rush Singer on Facebook. I have quite a few videos belting out some tunes in the subway and all around town.
Okay, so getting back to that question, what station do you remember? Did you try like Union Square first, or you tried Times Square,
I
or
tried
you tried
Times Square.
Pearl Square?
Times Square. That's right in the heart of the beast. So
wow! And you're still there. I mean, you're a legend in Times Square.
I'm still there.
Wow!
As a matter of fact, as I said, I did want to be on Broadway. I came to New York to break into show business because I wanted to be on Broadway. And right now I've been singing in the subway stations throughout New York City for so many years, under Broadway, and I kid you not, I've actually become the longest running show under Broadway.
Wow, I love that. Yeah,
I am.
Yeah. No, that's awesome. That's awesome. Now, I talked to you before at New York Public Library, and you mentioned you started off as a solo artist.
Mm-hmm.
You know, before you came to Underground Harmony, because I want to get into Underground Harmony as well. But let's talk a little bit about your solo career. And I know you mentioned earlier you were mixing it up with other performers, but initially you were a solo artist.
Yeah, I'm still a solo artist. The Underground Harmony is immediately after I was singing in the subway. Actually, you can check out one of my earlier videos. It's a very raw footage that someone took. It's
okay.
And just some other singers would join me, and so and they would do some great harmonies and doo-wop, and so that's where the Underground Harmony came about, so to speak. You know, it was just still my solo show, but I just was blessed with some singers to back me up, you know.
Right. Okay. So you're a solo performer, and then you tried out for MTA Music Under New York.
Yes, I did.
Right, and you mentioned that you failed a couple of times.
I didn't fail a couple of times. I failed many times. I auditioned for them for this program. This is a program which I wouldn't say sponsors, but they help out subway musicians. They get them a spot to play, and it's very good service that they do for the subway musicians. But I auditioned for them for many years, and I prayed, and I auditioned, and I just couldn't get in. But I wasn't giving up, and every year I was there till 8 years maybe I auditioned until don't quote me, but it was many years. And then finally they let me in.
Wow. Now, did they when they do let you in, do they interview you about how you can help the program, or it's all based on the music?
No, it's basically the musical acts, and I think they have a nice variety of different kind of performers. I was maybe one of the most common type.
The guitar.
Singer guitar player is the most common.
Yeah. More common,
and
yeah.
as you can see on your great photos that are featured in your book, there are so many different styles and interesting types of music, other than, it wasn't all Americana. They wanted a little variety. So that also
played a role. Oh, okay, all right. So that's good. So you persevered, and so as a subway performer, how is your personal life? Are you married? You have children? Or does all of us have these lives? I'm a messenger, and after that I go home, and I'm an uncle, and and so how's your personal life in terms of this lifestyle that you live, your career? What's your personal life like? If you don't mind opening it up about it.
No, please.
Yeah.
Any specific questions?
Well, just, are you a family, you married, are you in touch with your brothers and sisters, does your family support your artistic endeavors, those kind of things, First of all, family. What's your family like? Do you have kids or are you married?
I'm single.
Okay. There you go.
I'm single,
Right.
ladies. I've never been married. I don't have any children. I guess my passion for my dream has been my real mistress, if you will, all these years. And my family, actually I don't have any brothers, sisters, or mother or father even. They've since passed away. I'm only child, so I do have a couple of cousins on my mother's side and my father's side, and I visit them on occasion on special holidays or something like that.
Right. Okay.
It's cute. I was doing a dating. What is it? One of those dating websites.
Oh,
you know what I mean?
Those apps. Yeah.
And they ask you like, what kind of person are you looking for? And I said, I'm looking for a good-looking, in-fit talent manager who can get me some bookings.
Yeah, a business date, right?
Yeah.
Double.
Yeah.
Getting a date and a booking at the same time. That's cool.
That way she wouldn't think that I'm putting too much time on my career, because my career would be her livelihood. Isn't that a good way to think of it?
Yeah. Or you just write some beautiful ballads and you serenade her, and that way it blow her away. Like, oh, that song is for me.
Well, I do cover tunes. We were speaking before, but I do mostly cover tunes, classic rock, the Beatles, the Stones, Motown, and we do mostly the 50s and 60s, but I have wrote or written a couple original tunes. And one was like actually it was sort of, what did they call it? Requited love, unrequited love.
Okay,
you know what I mean?
love. Okay.
There was someone who I was interested in life, but she got married, and I wrote a song. I should play it for you.
Maybe at the end we can find a moment for a song if you're willing to do it.
Sure.
Yeah. Can you tell me a little stories about each station, or if they're basically the same no matter what?
Well, I would say on a weekend at Times Square, if the people passing by, they're ready to party and they love the show. Other times during the week, it's, people are coming home from work and everything's rushing about and people are trying to get by. But I must say, at Union Square, I was playing there with our little group, and it wasn't a particularly lively night that night, but some guy saw us playing there,
Okay.
and he booked us for what's coming up. Actually, it's coming up on the first Saturday of June, and the second Saturday in July, and the first Saturday in August, called Positively 8th Street. And it's a big festival, street festival for the local businesses there, and they have live music.
Okay.
And so we got to go. We were excited to play above ground in a on the street there at the Positively 8th Street Festival. So it's
Wow.
coming up. So check it out. Check out my website, and I want you there with your camera there.
Okay.
taking some-
And so
I
you
know
have
you
to-
like. I know we're Subway Beats, but there's some Subway Beats above ground.
Oh, ground too. Yeah. I've had some buskers ask me to tell the story about buskers outside, and that's not just on the subway, because the subway's kind of niche, right? The actual global busking community is kind of like outside, right? That's where you traditionally think of some buskers is performing outside, not necessarily on the subway. New York's kind of unique for that. So no, definitely, I'm going to definitely look for that. Now I want to see if we could talk a little bit about New York City. I mean, I love New York. I love going all around the city. I love the vibe. What is it like, you as a performer, subway performer, and your interaction with New Yorkers? What is your thoughts about this unique city where there's so many different opportunities, and there's so many. You work with so many different artists. You know, the MTA Music program is artists from all over the world who live in New York,
Right.
and the music's so diverse. So you as insider, what do you think about New York and that experience?
What do I think about?
Yeah, the melting pot. You know, as an artist
Well,
from your
I love it. I love all the different nationalities, the different people of how do you say it?
ethnicity. That
Thank you, brother.
tough on me too.
Thank you, brother.
Yeah. All right.
And what is exciting, even though we're definitely American music, American pop. Well, I shouldn't say like and the British invasion. You know, just pop music. I guess popular music is popular because it strikes a chord with
So
everyone. So all the ethnicities sort of love it. So that's
you
a
could
good
play
thing.
a little bit of you could play like Bruce Springsteen or Elton John or what are your, since you like that repertoire, what are your favorite rock artists that, you know, obviously the classic songs are easy because that's going to attract people, but what do you love in rock and roll?
Well, we do the Stones, and I've been told I look a little
the
like
Stones.
Mick Jagger. You know what I mean? I call myself Mick Jagger Jr.
Junior, yes.
But and that people love the Rolling Stones, and we do the Beatles.
Right.
But a unique thing is actually that I do a lot of Motown and classic soul, and I do that in a high-pitched falsetto voice, if you will, and I sort of sound similar to the reasonable facsimile of the original records. So,
So when you are we
blue-eyed soul doing some.
So are we talking like I mean, obviously Diana Ross and Supreme are women, but Motown, they have like the Four Tops. What are some of your favorite Motown songs?
Well, you know, you have a picture in your book of one of my ensembles, one of my groups called, and I always tell everybody because I have two beautiful twins who back me up singing, and I always tell everybody to promote myself that, and they have they have beautiful outfits. They design their own outfits or they buy them or whatever. But I always tell everybody the Supremes left Diana Ross and they're backing me singing in the subway station. And you have a picture of them in the book. And one picture actually that I have is they have these gold dresses and they just like they wore on the Ed Sullivan Show in the 60s. So.
Oh, good look, the look. That's beautiful, man. That's so. I mean, like when I think of sometimes of your songs, it always goes in my head. That song, I Can't Get No Satisfaction. Is that who was the original artist for that?
That's the Rolling Stones.
Rolling Stones.
Rolling Stones, yeah.
Is that a popular tune? Like.
Oh, sure. That's what they call a crowd pleaser, a sing-along. Sing-along.
Yeah. That's awesome, man. I love when your band is into it, and it really moves me when y'all play. I Can't Get No Satisfaction. So, yeah. So that's
I like Brown Sugar better.
Okay.
I like the song Brown Sugar. I like singing that. That's one of our latest.
All right. Now, over the years, have we recorded any independent albums of your stuff, or done any remixes, or?
I've never recorded any albums. Just recorded little video and audio vignettes of some of my cover tunes and original tunes, but I've never. I would love to have an album and be produced, but if there's any producers out there, please give us a holler.
Yes, a holler. Okay. So I've spoken to a few subway artists, and they've been booked on tours. Have you had that experience yet?
No, not any tours. I would love it. I think my group would love it too. We would love any bookings to go on tour there. We will be doing a little local circuit tour in the next 3 months for again the
8th Street.
Positively 8th Street. A little plug for the Village Alliance there and their great venue that they provide in Greenwich Village there.
Oh, so Positively 8th Street is actually 8th Street in the Village.
Yeah, positively 8th Street in the Village. And they close off 8th Street, a little section there, and they rock and roll.
That's gonna be an awesome show. I mean, you're a great crowd pleaser, so I know the fans are gonna definitely love it. So now, outside of music, do you have any other endeavors? Do you paint? Do you bowl? Or anything outside of your music that you're into that you could share with the audience?
Well, there is a little skill that I do. I'm a hustle dancer, Kurt. A hustle dancer.
Hustle. Oh, from the 70s.
Hustle from the 70s. Like it's the last of the partner dances, and I actually did teach dancing. I still teach it. I still teach dancing, and it's specifically the hustle. And during the summer, I host a little dance party on 43rd Street and the Hudson River. The sun sets, and we go by the water on the boardwalk, and we have sometimes a wonderful DJ who comes out and plays music, and all the hustle dancers from back in the day and the new generation come out, and we dance in the sunset, and it's called Sunset Hustle. There's another plug on Facebook.
Yeah.
And you should come this summer. You really should. There's a free dance lesson at 6 o'clock.
Okay.
And it's free, it's open, and it's just like busking. We just come there and play a little music and dance on the pier.
Yeah, I love some of the hustle songs. Donna Summers, the popular song "Do the Hustle." I mean, like I wasn't,
and that's
my step wasn't as that good, but I tried.
That's why we play a lot of disco tunes from the Bee Gees and even
Bee Gees,
Miss You from the Rolling Stones, just so we could service some of the dancers, because dancers love to dance. You know?
Right. Oh, so while you mentioned the hustle, they're having the 40th anniversary of Saturday Night Live.
Saturday Night Fever.
Saturday Night Fever.
Saturday Night Fever.
Yeah, that was a big hustle album.
That was the biggest album, I think, don't quote me, ever until Michael Jackson's Thriller knocked it out of place.
Whoa, Saturday Night Fever.
Yes, that's the biggest selling album yet.
Wow. Now, by the way, did you play any of those songs? Or do you cover those songs?
Yes, I do, absolutely. I'm a regular, vocally a Barry Gibb, but not a
So that's good. So I guess so when you kick in like a BG classic, do people start doing the hustle in Times Square?
The Bee Gees tunes always erupt people to start dancing. That's what their music is about, to bring the audience to their feet dancing.
Wow. Any questions from the audience? Well, go ahead.
Lawrence Rush, he covered a lot of the questions. I would like to rephrase what I intentionally had. You came to New York approximately 18 years ago?
No, young man. I came when I was around 18 years ago.
Okay.
When fresh off the bus. I am 56 now, so that's been quite some time.
So, thank you, Mr. Rush. The transition, the time, the technology, has it benefited you? How do you feel about it? And also, what influences you as an artist today?
The technology, has it benefited me? Or
yes.
I'm sure, like just a simple iPad or iPod, helps you get your music together and different things. It depends what you're doing, and the technology is definitely amazing what we have today. So that helps out, depending on what you're looking for. What was your other question?
What are your influences? What influenced you when you started, and what influences you today?
Well, even though I'm a classic rock, we do classic rock, Motown, and popular music, and I was, do like songs. I sort of sound like the Bee Gees with the high falsetto, or if I'm doing classic rock, the Mick Jagger type songs. But I'll tell you that one of the most and I actually do one of her songs sometimes, if I have a guitar player who can play her songs. One of my earliest musical influences, who really influenced me as a singer, was Barbra Streisand. And believe it or not, I think I'm the male Barbra Streisand, but no one else does. No one else does. But in truth, though, I actually, when I was younger, I did love the Beatles and all the Stones. But believe it or not, the Beatles their voices are very high, and I couldn't reach any of their notes. It was I couldn't find one male singer who I could reach their notes. The only person who I could sing comfortably all their songs was Barbra Streisand. Not high-pitched voice, but in a male voice. But I found I could hit every note with the same power and intensity that she does, like belting it out and the subtleties, but in a male voice.
But in a male voice, okay.
And I did discover one male singer, and by the name of Jim Croce, who I love also, that I could sing his songs comfortably. And my first audition, or not open mic, when I came to New York on that open mic night, I sang Time in a Bottle by Jim Croce, because the sheet music was in the right key, and I did a song called Woman in the Moon from A Star is Born, featuring Barbra Streisand. And I actually just, not too long ago, a year or so ago, posted a video of me doing this classic Barbra Streisand song. It's for real fans. It's not one of her gigantic hits, but for those who are Streisand fans, they know of it.
They know that song.
Called Woman in the Moon from A Star is Born.
Wow, I do like Jim Croce. I mean, I would think just listening to your music, like, your repertoire is deep. It's not, it's not just the Bee Gees. I mean, Jim Croce has Jim Croce is very different from a Rolling Stone, right? It's good music, but the vibe is very different. And then Barbra Streisand it's another place, But that's good, and you can mix it up. I'm into hip hop a lot too. So has hip hop or even punk? Cause you were around punk when it was growing in New York. What is your thoughts on punk?
Our group is really classic rock. I hate to say, not classic rock, golden oldies, basically.
Golden oldies, okay.
We usually do music of the 60s and 70s, and with certain musicians I even go doo-wop. Actually, I should say, in my little musical entourage, as I was progressing, there was a while I was with a doo-wop group, and we just did a cappella doo-wop. I was playing with the guitar, and then we would do some great harmonies, and then I was with a doo-wop group there for quite a few years. So underground harmony, my background singers throughout the years have evolved and changed themselves. There was a time we were doing doo-wop, but we do mostly of the 50s, 60s, and 70s. But hip-hop and
punk,
it sort of bypassed me. We never got into that. It's more the classic rock, classic thing.
Okay.
Although on my last gig, they took a picture of us, whoever they were. They advertised us as a punk rock group because we looked like we were punk rock.
You look like you're punk rock. Yeah, you look like you're punk rock.
So whoever came though, we ended up doing our classic rock Motown golden oldies band.
But you didn't get no booze, right?
No.
Okay, go ahead.
So I have some questions about the logistics of being a busker. So how many hours do you work a day?
Well, I'm part of the Music Under New York program, which really helps out the musicians, and especially the subway musicians who play there. And they give us a little schedule, and it's usually around 3 hours or so. And there's a certain time slot and a certain station where we're scheduled to play. And for me, it's usually twice a week for about 3 hours or something like that.
Twice a week for 3 hours. So you don't do it, you don't support yourself completely just from busking?
No, I don't. I mean, I wouldn't leave my day job, but sometimes it has been my day job, I must say. I mean, you can go out there on your own and do it, and play, but they schedule you.
Is it possible for a busker to make enough money to live on in New York, just busking?
I hear of people who do, and I've not been one of them. I've always had a regular job or another added job. I'm a background actor. I work in film and TV, but there's been times where I've had to bless the Lord. If I was literally singing for my supper.
It'd be pretty
Wow.
hard to do 40 hours a
Wow.
week of just playing music. I mean, after a while, your arm and your voice must get pretty tired. Even after 3 hours, your arm and your voice must get pretty tired. Yes.
Yes, absolutely.
No, well, I mean, what's got 15 minutes left? What? I'll let you. I'd love to hear a few songs from you. What's maybe next for Lawrence Rush? What's in the future?
Well, maybe after this great interview of the Oprah of the Subway Beats.
Yeah, okay.
You know, you never know. You never know what avails, but you know, you were talking like about subway busking. You said, how did we play for nickels and dimes? And you said it's not begging, but even if it was begging, bless the Lord, he takes the beggar from the ash heap and sits him among princes. That's a promise I'm claiming.
Yeah.
And it's, we're not, I believe we, bring enjoyment and great entertainment, and there's great entertainers down there in the subway, as you captured some of them, and such a musical variety.
I mean, just interviewing so many buskers and their thoughts about the city and performing for the people, for the subway rider. It's more in their heart to perform for the riders, more so than anything else. You know, obviously if they get a gig, great, but if they can show their talent to the people, a lot of them feel things are going to happen for them, which is
We
great.
do get gigs because we are showcasing in front of, we get the opportunity to play before quite a few people, and actually not too long ago we booked our first wedding.
Oh,
And so
wow.
we did a nice wedding, and that was exciting. You know, we dressed up in our tuxedos and we did a nice,
That's great.
That's good. So some bookings come. I mean,
so bookings come, yes.
wow, that's great. And so, and the recent one in the 8th Street event, you was telling us about came from a Union Square performance.
Yes, from a little subway performance. And
That's amazing.
one day you're singing before a few people, and then you're in front of hundreds of people.
Hundreds of people. Wow, that's so cool, man. And that's so cool, Lawrence. So I think we got about 10 minutes left. So I will just say thank you again to Quimby's Bookstore for hosting Music in the Tunnel interview series. The book Subway Beats is available here. Copies are signed, so come on through to Quimby's in Brooklyn, Williamsburg section, and check out Subway Beats and all the other great books they have in the store.